Peace FM 104.3. Good to meet you.
It's an important first step.
Okay.
Towards rebuilding, even though there are certain provisions in the budget that we felt that Parliament could have taken another look.
Okay.
Given all that is happening, that the country is living on the edge, I think we all collectively have to make some compromises, some adjustments, so that we can come out of this together and come out of it stronger than before. So we will say that it's an important first step. But my considered view is that even though the 2023 budget has been passed,
yes,
there will still be the need for some level of fiscal adjustment that will be necessary in moving us closer to greater economic recovery. When I say so, my reason is that if you look at where our debt level is, the level of economic deterioration, the fiscal adjustment in the 2023 budget is just too small. And it's also heavy on the revenue side and small on the expenditure side. And that is why the 2023 budget is only contributing overall just 0.7% of primary surplus towards our debt reduction. Meanwhile, we need a primary surplus of not less than 8%, right, in the next 4 years in order to bring our debt to a more sustainable level. What that means is that the level of fiscal adjustment that will have to be made will be so steep, and therefore we need to look beyond fiscal adjustment. Fiscal adjustment essentially is about your expenditure and revenue and the financing mix. Now, if we have to load all the adjustment on the fiscal side, this country will explode. We cannot bear it. And that is why the next level is debt operation. Okay. So, but we had expected that the fiscal side will do a little bit more, especially in terms of expenditure cuts, right? But the 2023 budget failed to deliver on that. Now, a good way to understand that is this. So when we talk about burden sharing, one would expect that leadership, we will lead by example.
Yeah.
And you first internalize the austerity to demonstrate to the market that, you know what, I understand where we are. I am willing to pay that price. Come along. But you see that the 2023 budget doesn't do enough of that. And that is why, in order to crawl back to a sustainable debt level, the debt operation will now have to be steep. Okay, will now have to be steep. And what that tells you is that the state is actually shifting the burden of the debt and the macroeconomic instability to the citizens and the private sector. So the state, in terms of the government, is not doing enough. And that is where the pain is coming from. Now, that said, where we are, whether we like it or not, to come out of this, some level of sacrifices would have to be made. We don't have a choice now. Now, Ghana, we only have one hope. Let me put it this way. We have exhausted all our internal mechanisms. We only have an IMF program to hang on. One key requirement for the program is debt sustainability. Now it is official that Ghana's debt, after the debt sustainability analysis, has been confirmed to be unsustainable. Typically, an IMF would not lend to a country where their debt is unsustainable. So what that means is that you now have to take steps to bring your debt to a more sustainable level. That is going to be painful. Now, if you are doing the modeling, you are looking at it that, okay, if you look at it along the debt sustainability indicators,
Yes.
we are trending above all the policy dependency thresholds. So, for instance, if we say your debt service to revenue ratio, which is a measure of liquidity, should not be more than, let's say, 20% or even 18% in terms of the external component, we are doing in excess of 50%. We are doing in excess of 60%. So look at that gap. It's wide. Now, if we are talking about present value of debt to, let's say, GDP ratio, we are trending in excess of 30% of the policy dependency threshold. If you take present value of debt to export ratio, again, we are trending in excess of 25% above the policy dependency threshold at the baseline estimation. Okay, the end of all that I'm saying is that we have drifted from the baseline, and you need to crawl back. So if we relate what is happening now to the 16th IMF program that we had from April 3rd, 2015 to 2019, we were doing a primary surplus of about 1.5% on the average. Now, if we decide to do a similar one here, then it means that in the next 4 to 5 years, we can only bring our debt to GDP ratio to about 90%, which will still be above the threshold. As a medium debt-carrying country, in terms of our debt-carrying capacity, probably our debt to GDP ratio should not be more than 65%, assuming we even have some kind of buffer and say 70%. So if 1.5% could only deliver 90% of debt to GDP ratio in the next 5 years, what it means is that we still need to do some level of adjustment. That is why, from the perspective of the government, the next option is debt operation.
Peace FM 104.3. Who to meet